2 of chapter 6 is about finding the exact circular function values. So finding those values of the circular function. And so if it says exact value, that means you're not using a calculator. And if it means, if it says to use a calculator, then you can use a calculator. You just got to make sure your calculator is in radians. So if I want to find sine of 3 pi halves, I got to think about, well, this is 2 pi all the way around 360. And this is 1 pi, because it's half of that, right, which is 180. So up here at 90 degrees, that's a half a pi. So if I'm talking about 3 halves pi, that means on a unit circle, right, radius equals 1 on a unit circle. So this point right here is 0, 1. This point is 0. Oh, switch these, sorry. 1, 0. This is 0, 1. This is negative 1, 0. Down here is 0, negative 1. Okay, so if I'm looking at 3 halves pi, well, this is 90 degrees is half a pi. So this would be 2 halves of pi. So this is 1 half a pi, 2 halves of pi, 3 halves of pi. So I'm down at this point right here. And the coordinates is an x and a y. And remember, we talked about sine is just the y value. So that is negative 1. Cosine is the x value. So cosine of 3 pi over 2 is 0. And then tangent is y over x. So that'd be negative 1 over 0. Well, negative 1 over 0 is undefined. I can't divide by 0, so that's undefined. And so that's how you find the exact values of the circular function. Halves pi, that's how halves pi are counted. Quarter pies, this would be a quarter. So there would be 1 quarter pi, 2 quarter pi, 3 quarter pi, 4 quarter pi, and you can keep on going around in quarters of pi, which is 45 degrees. Which there, my point for right here at 45, or pi fourths, would be root 2 over 2, comma, root 2 over 2. A third would be up here, which is 60 degrees. And down here would be pi sixth. Now, if you think about this, which number is bigger, 1/2 or root 3 over 2? Well, root 3 over 2 is bigger. And isn't my x farther along than my height of my y? So that means my y for this one would be, for this point right here, my y would be 1/2 because it's a smaller height than it is long, and long deals with the x-axis here. So there would be my point for that. And then 60 degrees, it just switches, right, because I'm using the same triangle. So it would be 1/2, comma, root 3 over 2. As long as I can remember those, 0 at 0 degrees, at 30 degrees, which is pi sixth, at 45, which is pi fourths, at 60, which is pi thirds, and 90, which is pi halves, then I can use the reference angles for all the rest of them. So here's problems like what you're supposed to do in class. 2/3 pi, so this would be a third. This would be 2/3, so it's based on a 60. And cosine deals with the x. So the x is smaller than the y, so that's going to be 1/2. But it's on 2/3 pi, so that's going to be negative 1/2 because it's over here. My cosine is negative in that quadrant. 7 pi fourths, well, that's almost 8 pi fourths. And 8 pi fourths, isn't that 2 pi? So we're down here. We're still doing fourths, so that means we're looking at a 45, and cosine of a 45 is root 2 over 2. And I'm in this quadrant, so that's positive. 7 pi fourths, well, that's still root 2 over 2. And again, I'm in this quadrant, and sine is negative in that quadrant, so it's negative. Negative 5 pi thirds is I'm just counting by thirds. This will be 1/3 because I'm going negative, so I'm going down. 2/3, 3/3. 3 over 3 would be 1, right? So that'd be pi. 4/3, 5/3. So I'm at a 60-degree angle. My reference angle is 60, and tangent of a 60, a little more complicated, but tangent of a 60 would be root 3 over root 2, so it would be 2 root 3 over 3. Well, without the 2, sorry. Because there we just taken, it's a 60, so it's a 1/2, comma, root 3 over 2. So the 2's are going to cancel, and it would just be root 3 over 3, because I'm going to get root 3 on bottom, and so then I have to rationalize root 3 over 3, and so we get root 3 over 3. So that's how you do that one, because here are my coordinates for 60 degrees. And it's in the first quadrant, so it is positive. Oh, cancel that, sorry. It's just plain root 3. 60 degrees is just plain root 3. Quick correction. So this is y divided by x. Well, x is 1/2, and if I multiply by the reciprocal, that's 2/1, so the 2's just cancel out and I get root 3. Sorry about that. So it's just positive root 3. Positive root 3, that's it. This is how I remember with tangent. Whatever's on bottom with tangent, if it's a 3, that means I only have 1 3. If it's a pi 6, 6 has 2 3's in it, so tangent of pi 6 is root 3/3. So that's how I can remember it, because 6 has 2 3's in it, so there's 1 3, 2 3's. Okay, here on these problems, you just got to make sure you're in radians on your calculator, and you can go ahead and type cosine of 1.85 and hit enter, and it'll give you the approximate calculation, negative 0.276 approximately. So I can do cosine of that. The cotangent one's a little bit different. So remember, cotangent of an angle is 1/tan of that same angle. And again, I got to make sure I'm in radians. So I do 1 divided by tan of 1.3209, and I get my answer of 0.255. We'll go with that. Okay, this one, same thing. That'd be 1/cosine of this angle, negative 2 point blah, blah, blah. And that one shouldn't work because I can't take cosine of a bigger number than 1. Oh, never mind. We're not talking about finding the angle here. So we're good because we're in radians. So we're good here because this number is an angle. So I'm good here with an angle, negative angle of 2 point something. Sorry about that. We're good there. So we get, when we type that in, we get negative 1.024 2 or 3. And that's it.